Hey, what's up, everyone? I just wanted to do a quick little video and show you guys how you can make this really cool and easy to use and very quick to build grunge control node setup here. And basically what this does is it's going to provide an overlay of grunge or dirt. Not necessarily this map that you see here with the streaking dirt, but any one you pick. And it overlays directly onto your shader setup for a more realistic material. And basically what we're going for, it's this type of effect where you see pretty much on any surface, even newer buildings are going to have some level of grunge or site walls, something like this. This case is obviously pretty extreme, but if you look for it, you see it on absolutely everything. Anytime you see an overhang on a wall, like where a window frame is, you're going to see this streaking effect. So it's a pretty common effect to see, and I think it just helps the realism of your material setup. With that being said, if you see how this is hooked up, it's really just laying over top of the color map. So you may be saying, well, that's not exactly accurate because it's not having any effect whatsoever on the reflection or the glossiness, and that's true. But typically when you use this, you're going to have it's not going to be coming through a whole lot. So I don't even think anyone would notice that it's not having a correct effect. But if you guys, if you know a way to make this affect the glossiness and the reflection, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to make it a little bit more accurate if possible. Honestly, I just don't know how. But typically on an architectural rendering, especially if you're doing a newer building or a newer construction, you're going to have it to a level that's so barely visible anyway, I don't think anyone would notice. But you can see here, just by using this slider, you can control very quickly and easily the amount of grunge that comes through. And so let's just jump right over and build this from scratch so you can see how it's done. And I've got a Blender file set up here. We have no material applied to this cube. It's been UV unwrapped one time, and that's all we've got so far. And the shader that I'm using is a PBR shader from blenderguru.com, which you can download for free in the PBR dielectric shader tutorial. So if you haven't done that already, go ahead and do it because it's a great shader, and just wanted to say thank you to Andrew Price for putting that together for everyone. So the first step here, we've got our cube selected. Alright. And what we're going to do is create a second UV map, and the reason we're doing this is so that we can have our grunge on a separate UV map which is overlaid on top of this UV map, and this UV map is going to have your original texture on it. Okay, so we just come down here to UV maps, hit the plus, that adds one, and we're going to call this grunge. That step doesn't seem very important, but it is, because when we add the attribute shader in the node setup, it's got to match this word exactly. So just whatever you call this, just remember that. And then it doesn't look like anything happened here. So if we've got this grunge selected, let's just move this up just so we can see a difference between the two. And then if we select back and forth between the two different UV maps, you'll notice that it did actually change. So we've got our grunge up here. I'm just going to leave it up there for a little bit. We're going to have to come back and play with the positioning of that just to make sure the grunge appears correctly the way we want it. Let's hop over to node editor here. Right now we've got nothing assigned to here, and I've got the PBR shader already set up here. So basically when you download the PBR shader, it's just going to be this node, and I believe it came with the less or more slider also, which just helps control the level of glossiness that comes through and the reflections. And I've got a real simple setup here. This invert is actually important because the way Blender reads the glossiness map, it reads it backwards for some reason. So if you want to follow this node setup, it's pretty basic, but this is what I start with for pretty much every material, and a lot of them I don't end up changing it. This is good enough for most. But anyway, we've got our color map, our gloss map, reflection map, and a normal map running through the normal map shader, and then everything's mapped together. So again, very basic, and all we're going to do is add in our node group that we create up here, and it's just going to plug in between the color map and the PBR shader. So first things first, we're going to add an input, and that's going to be an attribute, like I mentioned earlier. Sorry guys, I'm having a little bit of trouble with this mouse right now. Alright, attribute, and this is where we have to match the name that we gave it before. Alright, and we're going to run that through a mapping node. This is probably hard to watch. I don't know what's going on with my mouse. It's got brand new batteries and it's just not working. Oh well. Hopefully we can get this to go before it completely dies. Alright, so this is our color map here. Obviously we don't want to use the same texture we're using on our cube. You can see the texture we're using over here. It's something I got from I got this from Polygon.com. Also Andrew Price's site. And I'm not promoting it, but it is actually, it's a really good vault of all the materials you need. And when you download it, you can download in various sizes, and basically it has all the different types of maps that you need. So really awesome. And then the grunge that I'm using is this guy right here, Decals Leaking 270. You can use any one you want, and again, it doesn't have to be the streaking type, but I think this is just probably the most common one. So I'm going to select Grunge Leaking, and then what's actually going to control the amount of grunge that comes through is going to be a brightness contrast here. So we're going to take we're going to take the color of this and add it to, or the alpha from the color map, and add it to the color of the brightness contrast. And now that we have all four of these selected, we are going to hit Control G, put that into a group here, and you'll see that added a group input node and a group output node. For the group output node, we're going to take the color from the texture map and plug that into the group output. And then we're going to take the brightness here from the color contrast, and we're going to hook that into the group input, and that is going to be our controller. Okay, so let's hit N. We can bring this up. We're going to name our bright something else. We're going to name that, let's just name it Control for now. By the way, I apologize if the volume's not high enough. I've been having a little bit of difficulty with the mic, getting it set up correctly. This is my first tutorial, so leave any comments to help me improve. That would be really helpful for me. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I've got this backwards. The brightness contrast color is going to be in the top group output here, and then the color map is going to go into the bottom group output color. And that should be set up correctly now. So if you want to take a look at how I've got that, that should do it. We'll tab back out into here, and let's just, how do we name this? Oh yeah. Alright, let's just call this Grunge Control. I don't think we would forget what it is, but you never know. And we'll just set that down there. And I'm just using a little reference sheet here so I don't mess this up, because I tried this one time earlier and I completely just froze at this step because I could not remember what to do. We're going to add in a color mix RGB node. That's going to go right here. And we're going to take the top here, plug that into color 1 from our color map. We're going to take the bottom color from the grunge control and plug that into color 2. And we're going to take the top color and plug that into factor. Set this to multiply. That way it's an overlay, not just sitting on top completely. You can see through it. And the color output from the multiply is going to go into your color PBR shader. So with that done, you can see that instantly we've already got a grunge overlay on here. And if you need to change the mapping, you can do it either through here for a little bit of fine-tuning. I rarely use this. I normally just move the map around in the UV editor. I think it's easy enough. If you wanted a really fine level of control, you can do it in there. But you can see that this is already working perfectly. We can just easily switch back and forth and have a lot of grunge or a little bit or none at all. And if you don't want this hooked up, all you have to do is hook those together, and this isn't even in effect anymore. Might as well keep it, since you can take it all the way down to 0, though. That's my opinion, at least. And then let's go over to the UV image editor, and we can actually control exactly where this shows up. And sometimes it's I don't like the way that reads. Sorry. Anyway, this is basically it. I mean, it's very simple. Now that you have this set up, basically what I do, I just keep this node set up as my default material and deselect all these, and then just add in whatever texture I want, whether it's wood or concrete or stone like this. It's already got everything set up for you. So guys, if you have any comments, I'd love to hear them. Again, this is my first tutorial, so hopefully I wasn't boring you to death. But I think this is just an easy way to control an extra level of realism. So let me hear your thoughts, and have a good day. Thanks.